My name is Keith Faber. I happen to have a $12 title as President of the State Senate, but I come to you as a local state legislator. You see, I understand, like over 100 other state legislators all across this country, that we have a choice. We can continue to go down the wrong path, some would call that the left path, or we can reset this nation and go back down the right path. Which one do we want to go down? The right path! See, I knew we'd get it right here. You see, we understand that the founders were pretty smart men. We understood that when they designed the Constitution, they knew what they were doing. You see, they all came from state legislatures. They understood that the states were the laboratories of democracy. They understood that we needed a country founded on individuals doing good things to help the collective. They never planned to have a top-down, one-size-fits-all federal government. They never planned to have the states be the junior partners with the federal government. And that's why I joined over 100 state legislative leaders, presidents and speakers from state legislatures all across this country to ask our federal government to stop and let's reset this balance. We asked them for 5 very specific things. And I'm pleased to tell you the Trump campaign, it gets it right on all 5 of these things. Let's talk about it real quickly. First, don't you agree that the federal government ought to get out of the business of doing things that the states ought to be doing for themselves? Let me give you just one very important example. K-12 education. You see, nowhere in the Constitution does it say that the federal government should have a role in K-12 education. We believe that the states, your local principals, your local teachers, your local school boards, they're going to make darn better decisions than some nameless, faceless bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. Don't you know that? And that's why we ask them to block grant things like education back to the states, things like Medicaid, things like transportation. These are things that state governments ought to be doing. By the way, you don't have Common Core problems if you get the federal government out of education. Number 2, and you're going to get this, we need meaningful federal tax reform. You know, Donald Trump is the only presidential candidate that realizes that the importance of jobs and job creation is to create a tax code that is going to help people that are running small businesses and growing small businesses. Look, we did that here in Ohio. We eliminated the job-killing small business tax here in Ohio last year, and this year, in 2016, if you're a small business person, you will pay 0 tax on the first $250,000 of your income here in Ohio. Why? Because in state government, we understand that small businesses create and grow over 70% of the jobs, and it's about jobs. Number 3, regulatory reform. That's not sexy. We all agree we need clean air, clean water, and healthy, safe work environments, right? But do you realize that in Ohio, by our common sense initiative, we've reduced new regulatory filings by over 50%? And you know what? We still have clean air, clean water, and healthy, safe work environments. The federal government needs to get the heck out of telling states how to regulate businesses in our communities. One example is Barack Obama's anti-coal, anti-job position. You see, we understand that paying 40% more for the same electricity we get today isn't good for jobs in Northwest Ohio. That's why we're asking the federal government to stop with these oppressive regulatory burdens that require the states to follow and are going to kill jobs and kill coal and other jobs in Ohio. Donald Trump gets it. Donald Trump gets it. He's fighting for jobs. He's fighting for Ohio. Number 4, and this one you all get this one. It's time for a federal balanced budget amendment.
Oh yeah.
$19 trillion is too much of a burden to put on our kids and grandkids. Now, I usually look for somebody who's about the same age as my kids. I got a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old. And I look for an 11-year-old because they intuitively get this. I always ask them, what's your favorite restaurant? And they'll tell me things like McDonald's or Pizza Hut or Chipotle. And so I say, young man, go home and get your piggy bank, because all of us adults, after this rally, we're all going to that restaurant. Don't get me wrong, you get your piggy bank, you get to pay, but you don't get to eat. You see, we, the adults, we believe in getting fat on your dime. That's what we've been doing. Invariably, that young person responds, when I ask them, what do you think about that? They say, that's not fair. Anybody got an 11-year-old at home? Grandkid? Kid? Have you ever heard that's not fair? I hear it too much. We try and teach our kids life isn't always about fair. It's about hard work. You know what? If an 11-year-old's going to get it that it's not fair for us to eat on their dime, they also get that it's not fair for us to pass them a $19 trillion federal debt.
Yeah. Right.
We are gambling with their future lifestyle and their ability to meet their God-given potential. That's why we need to do something about it. And this last one, when you talk to your friends and your relatives who are on the fence, they're not sure about this election. When you talk to them, let me give you the #1 reason I've got to convince all my friends and neighbors and all my constituents here in West Central, Northwest Ohio that it's important that they get out and vote in this election. And that's the appointment of constitutionally conservative federal judges.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I need no second reason to convince people to vote for Donald Trump. He gets it. Constitutionally conservative judges are the same kind of judges that are going to read our Constitution the way our framers meant them to read the Constitution, not create new judge-made laws. So when they're on the fence, you ask them, do you really want Hillary Clinton appointing not just one, but maybe as many as 5 justices in the United States Supreme Court? I don't. And I'll never do anything to help that campaign because it's about my kids and grandkids. Now, I'm going to give you one last thing before I ask you to do the same thing our previous speaker did. That's get your cell phones out and make sure you text that number, and we'll go over that here in just a second. But look, this election to me is not about me. Look, it's Keith Faber, I'm president of the state senate, I'm a state elected leader. It's not about me. It's not about anybody else. It's not about a governor. It's not about a United States senator. It's, dare I say, not even about Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. This election is about my 9-year-old and my 11-year-old. Make no mistake about that. This election is about the future our kids and grandkids are going to have. Are they going to have jobs? Are they going to have a future where they can meet their God-given potential to do whatever they want to do? Or are they going to be cloaked in fear? Are they going to have to worry about whether their opportunity is somehow constrained by somebody else's vision of what's fair? Ladies and gentlemen, this election is too important to leave to chance. This election for your kids and your grandkids' future is too important to sit on the sidelines. You know, everyone in this room has friends and family and neighbors. When you talk to them about how important this election is, make sure they get out and vote. And when they do that, who are we going to tell them to vote for? You see, Mr. Trump gets it. He gets it that it's about our kids and grandkids. If you want to keep going down that left path, shame on you. It's about the right path. And you know that right path leads to Ronald Reagan's shining city on a hill. A place where hope and freedom and opportunity scream out for our kids and grandkids. So help us out. I want you to text Trump to 88022. Trump to 88022. And when you do, you'll get plenty of neat updates. And when you do the other things I ask you to do, you remember this. You'll be able to say proudly to your kids and grandkids, I did my part. I voted for Donald Trump. I'm Keith Faber, and I'm voting for Donald Trump. Thank you. God bless you.